Hey, what's up everyone? Welcome back to FishOfHex and welcome back to the second QT podcast. And today we're going to be continuing the theme that we had yesterday. Just a heads up, the first 2 or 3 videos will be quarantine related and the situation that we have going on. Just kind of giving people who are just getting into the series, because I'm assuming they're going to start from the beginning, and I want to make sure they're getting correct information and just helping them to the best that I possibly can before we move on to some random stuff here with the podcast to keep you guys somewhat entertained. And yeah, so today we're going to be talking about what is really important at this time and what should we be prioritizing. And of course, my kids are running around upstairs. It's a little late. It's like 9 o'clock and he's running around. I gave him some cookies earlier, so I probably shouldn't have done that, but hey, I like to spoil them individually, not at the same time, because then they start killing each other. But you know, every once in a while I'll sneak someone a cookie or something extra, and you know, don't tell your brothers. But anyway, so you might hear some footsteps, which just kind of is what it is at this point. But yeah, so we're going to talk about what is really important at this time and what should we be prioritizing. Now, of course, I understand that everybody's situation is going to be different, other than the fact that most of us, 99% of us, are stuck inside with ourselves pretty much. I know there's people around us, but believe me, we're all stuck in our own heads trying to figure this out together. And again, I know that our situation is different. Some people have money, some people have savings, some people have food, some people have shelter and you know, things set up in place. And then there's people on the other side of the spectrum that don't have anything, that are really suffering. And I just kind of want to talk about this in my perspective and give you guys an idea of kind of how I think, and hopefully guide you guys in the right direction, or maybe just kind of move you into a different thought process to hopefully maybe cut down on some of the stress, because I know this is a pretty stressful time. So with that extremely long introduction, let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so the first thing I want to really talk about is you don't really realize what you have until it's gone. I know that seems pretty cliche, but it's true. A lot of us didn't realize what we had just being citizens and being free and being able to go do things and really have our lives full of daily activities, right? We didn't really realize what we had until it's gone. And right now it's technically gone. It's actually just on hold. Life will go back to normal here in the future. I don't know when, I can't tell you when, but trust me, we'll go back to normal and things will be like they were. And yes, we're used to having things. And as I said, you don't really realize what that is until it's gone. It's not only with things that we do and what we have and luxuries, it's also people and what we have close to us. And I know that you know, me personally, I don't know anybody who's actually going through the virus and who's you know, who's gone or passed away or suffering from it right now, but I know a lot of you guys might know people that are close to you. And my fan, the wind's blowing, so what happens is the wind comes through really hard on the back the building, it starts pissing off my vent, dealing with that. And you know, you don't really realize what you have until it's staring you in the face and it might not be there anymore. Now, understand, some of you guys might just be learning that now. I know that when I was younger, you know, before I joined the military, I really took everybody for granted, you know, everything. You know, even people who are taking care of me, I just didn't appreciate it because I was like, well, I'm a kid. I mean, I don't care. I think that's normal for anybody. But when I went to Afghanistan, and you know, saying goodbye to family members and saying goodbye to my brother and people that I care about, realizing that might be the last time I ever see them. That might be the last time that I interact with people, because I don't know what's going to happen. And that's really where I started to learn and appreciate people and things around me for what it really is, because you don't know this. You know, I could go to sleep tonight and not wake up tomorrow. You know, this could be my last video. I mean, who knows what's going to happen? You know, I mean, we try not to focus on that because it's so negative, but the point is, you don't know what you have until it's gone, so appreciate what you do have. Now, a lot of us are stuck with ourselves and limited activities and limited people exposure and stuff like that, but appreciate what you do have. If you have food in your house, appreciate that you have. If you have somebody there to talk to, be thankful that you have that person, because there's a lot of people right now who don't have food, don't have shelter, don't have somebody there for them, and maybe don't have money to pay their bills. And there are people out there that are truly suffering. And if you're not one of those people, you should really step back and appreciate what you do have. And if you can, if you're able to financially give to somebody who needs the help, or at least let them know. I know a lot of people have pride. I mean, I have a few people, you know, 5 or 6 people that I've reached out to and I've talked to, and I said, hey, listen, if you're going through a hard time and you need something, before you do anything drastic, before you make a stupid decision, all you need to do is just talk to me and we'll figure something out, okay? I have no problem sending people toilet paper if they need it. I have no problem helping somebody out with food. I mean, I'm okay with giving a little bit of what I have if it's going to help somebody out. Okay, so if you're one of those people who are okay, appreciate that for what it truly is, and if you can help somebody, you should probably do that. And if you can help somebody, you should probably do that. Okay, so the next thing I want to talk about, and I know this is going to be difficult for a lot of people, and I will admit I learned it early on with the military, and I'm glad that I did, and that is stop living in the now. Stop living in the instant gratification, or what can I do for me right now to make myself happy, and start focusing on what you need to do now for the future. What do you need to do today to make sure that you have food next week? What do you need to do today to make sure you can pay your bills next month? Granted, a lot of us can't do anything about that, but again, focus on what you can do now for the future, because everybody gets so caught up in instant gratification and you know, me, how many likes can I get now? How much attention can I get right now? And guess what? None of that stuff matters. Okay, what you need to be focusing on is, hey, what do I need to do? Do I need to plant seeds in a garden right now so we have food in 2 months? Do I need to, maybe go get my hunting license and get ready to go hunt turkey next month or this month because it's going to end so we have food for the following month? I mean, do I need to get my small game license? I mean, do I need to do things now that can set me up for success in the future? And for me personally, my goal right now is to simply focus on making sure that we have money for our bills, which again is a struggle for everybody. Make sure we have food, shelter, and protection. Those are the only things that I focus on at the moment. Of course, providing content for you guys and taking care of orders and helping people as much as I can. You guys are probably not realizing it. I know on my end that I'm not getting back to people as quickly as I used to. At least the past month or so, it's been very difficult because I'm not focusing on that stuff. And that's one of the reasons why I'm doing this podcast, is not only to help you guys, but to also kind of flush out my brain a little bit. So right now, it's all about focusing on where are we going to be in a month? Are we going to have enough food to survive? If for say, it gets really bad around here and we can't even go to the grocery store, what can I do right now when it's not so bad? And what can I do right now with the garden or even getting ready to hunt to make sure that we're okay in the future? So just stop living in today. Stop living like this is your last day on the earth, and focus on what can I do now to be set in the future. So hopefully that makes sense. I know I said it enough. I said stop living in now like 400 times, but the point is that it's important, not only for this situation, but in life in general. If you ever want to be something and become something, you need to stop living for today. And I think that just happens with age. I mean, I'm only 33. I'll be 33 this month, but I thank the military for a lot of this, I guess, quote unquote wisdom, because yeah, I mean, lived and learned a lot of hard lessons, and I think that's where it come from. And hopefully, sharing this with you guys will help you realize. So maybe you don't have to live a hard lesson and learn the hard way. Maybe you can just take the advice and move forward, because that's always the best way to go about it. All right, so the next thing, which I think is probably the hardest thing that I've ever dealt with in my whole life, and I still struggle with it, and now that I'm not going to therapy because of all this stuff, it is something that I literally struggle with every day, and that is, don't worry about things that you can't control. Is worrying about something going to fix it? No. Okay, and I know saying that right now, I'm like, yeah, I can say it, but it's very difficult to live that way. Sorry, the fan is loud. I do apologize for that. And the thing is worrying about anything has that ever changed the outcome? Has worrying about the unknown ever changed the outcome of anything? It doesn't. All worrying does is it causes you to be stressed, and then when you're stressed, you end up, you can start gaining weight. You can start not getting sleep. If you start not getting sleep, you get a weaker immune system. Then you're more susceptible to illnesses, and that's the last thing anybody needs. So, worrying about things you can't control, that's just not something that you should be doing. And I know it's very difficult. I know that we're all living in a moment. Some of us are living in a moment where I don't know if I'm going to be able to pay my rent. It's the first of the month. How the heck am I going to pay my rent? I can't pay my rent. Understand that I'm willing to bet 99% of the landlords out there are not going to evict somebody at the moment. I mean, how freaking dumb would you have to be like, oh, it's a pandemic, you can't pay your rent, but you need to get the hell out. I mean, I highly doubt that anybody's doing that, but of course, there's always going to be some jerk off that's going to do it. So hopefully none of you guys are experiencing that. Understand that if you can't pay your rent right now and there's nothing you can do about that, stop thinking about it. Stop worrying about it, because, I know the check's going to come in. I know that might not take care of all your bills, but understand that once this is over and we're in a better direction, you're going to be able to make up for that. You'll be able to, maybe there's something will come through and help you just pay that off. Understand, and then this is a little bit later, but understand that everything happens for a reason, okay? Good or bad. Right now, we're all going through this for a reason. I think, in general, I think society needed this break, because everybody's so caught up in the Me Too and the attacking people for everything. I know it's pretty bad right now because everybody's stuck online just being a bunch of jerk-offs. I think in general, society needed this freaking break to step back and maybe just appreciate life. And I know, that's just my opinion. A lot of people won't agree, but sometimes things just happen, and I do believe that everything happens for a reason. And I've struggled my whole 20s, man. When I got back from Afghanistan, holy shit, I couldn't hold a job. I couldn't sleep. I gained a ton of weight. I was just in crappy relationships. I couldn't do anything. I was just unhappy, and I lived like that for years and years and years and years. And then finally, I just accepted, listen, everything happens for a reason. I met my previous boss at church, and I learned a lot through him. I know that I don't come off as the typical Christian man, but I do believe in God, and I know that I don't always live that life. And I know, I'm swearing in videos and being a jerk, and it's a persona, I suppose, in a way or another. I do like to keep you guys entertained, but understand that I learned early on, and I thank Kenny. He did a great job teaching me, and everything happens for a reason. So I wouldn't, back to the previous thing, I wouldn't worry too much about things that you can't control, because you can't. Sometimes you just got to put your hands in the air and say, listen, take care of it. Take care of it for me, because I don't know what I'm going to do. And sometimes the best things in life happen when you just kind of put your hands up in the air and let somebody else take the wheel for you. So, let's go ahead and move on to something else. Okay, so I'm just going to go through a couple more things. I do actually have an outline here because I didn't want to miss things. I want to make sure I don't have to make more than like 3 videos on this. We've already talked about, you don't know what you have until it's gone, but also appreciate what you do have. We talked about that. And now the next thing I really want to talk about is don't take unnecessary risk. And this is a prime example of this was today. Part of the whole process of me planning ahead to take care of the future is, of course, our garden. I know that Glenn said he doesn't want me to talk about my garden during my podcast, so I'm going to keep it nice and limited for you, Glenn, because I'm trying to help you out here. But anyway, I needed to get soil for my garden. You guys know I grow one on my back deck, and I needed to get soil. It's Home Depot, every year I get it from them, and they're 5 miles away. But I didn't go to the store because I had to weigh the risk versus the reward. Okay, do I go to the store just to get potting soil to hopefully have enough vegetables in a couple months and to take care of a few meals, and potentially have the risk of getting the virus and bringing it home, giving it to my youngest kid is really susceptible to that stuff, causing illness for him, potentially death. And then on top of that, what's going to happen to me? I'm not the healthiest person in the world, and that's the last thing I need to go through right now. It's the last thing that we need, as in our household, is anything like that to happen. So, was the risk versus the reward? Was it worth it? No, it wasn't. So, what did I do? I ended up spending an additional 1/3 of what my total price was to have it delivered instead. So, think about, if you want something, say, right now, I'll give you, this is a prime example. I want tacos. I'll tell you right now, last night, I dreamed about tacos. I've been thinking about tacos for weeks. I'm talking deer tacos, beef tacos. I don't care if it's chicken tacos. I just want a freaking taco. I've been thinking about tacos since the last time I stopped eating tacos. I was mad because we didn't have any tacos. I wanted more tacos. So if I had $1 for every time I said tacos, I'd have at least $20 by now, right? But anyway, I really want tacos, okay? So it's very simple. The store is literally 2 miles away. It's not very busy at this time of night. You can't really shop after 10 p.m. They let the older citizens go in at that point. So I could easily drive to the store right now and get everything I need for tacos and be a happy little chubby guy upstairs pounding tacos, right? But is it worth the risk? Is that instant gratification, as we talked about earlier, is that worth the risk of going out and exposing yourself, or potentially exposing myself to something like that, which could eventually ruin my entire family? Okay, and that's how you got to look at things right now. Is it worth going to a party? Is it worth hanging out with your friends? Is it worth going to Starbucks to get your frappa lame chino or whatever the heck you people drink? I didn't mean you people, Jesus, I'm just playing. I know no one's going to take that too seriously. Then again, you never know. The point is the thing that you want to do because you're bored and you want something so bad and you're craving something, is that worth the risk and the repercussions of actually doing it? And at this moment, there is nothing besides if you got to go to the grocery store to get the essentials, or if you need to get medication, or you need to go to the doctors because you have an illness. There is no reason why you need to be going anywhere, period. Your wants and your needs, those are two different things, okay? You want tacos, or I want tacos. You probably want tacos too, since I've been talking about it. I'm over here salivalating. That's what we call it, by the way, in my house, salivalating. I know it's not salivalating. It was something I used to say as a kid, salivating, but we call it salivalating because we're different. I had to get a drink of water because I can barely talk because I'm just thinking about tacos over here. Man, I hate being fat. Anyway, so the point is, you got to think about what you want and what you really want versus what you need. And I know that just happened. That just comes with maturity and self-awareness and stuff. And hopefully, by me saying it, you guys can, plan ahead. And that's what we're going to talk about next. So, planning ahead. So my goal right now for us, we go to the grocery store once a month. Okay, now I am right now shipping coral once a week, and it's Mondays, unless it's per request. Somebody, if somebody puts in an order and they really need me to ship on a Thursday, then I will. But I try to avoid. I'm trying to ship only one day a week. And the point is, we're planning ahead. So one grocery store visit a month for everything that we possibly need. We have a list, we go through, we get everything we possibly can in one shot. We do it in the evening where there's not very many people in the store. Wear gloves if we have to, bring hand sanitizer, keep clean, don't touch your face, the whole 9 freaking yards, avoid people, whatever. And then when it comes to me dropping off coral, it's Mondays, and I wait for everybody to leave the store before I go in, and I drop on my packages, and then I leave. I don't, bullshit with anybody or anything. And the point is plan ahead. Okay, if you got some money coming in, or you need to get something at the store, try to get everything you need to get at one time. If you need to go somewhere that's essential, try to do it all at one time. Try not to expose yourself more than you need to. So that's pretty much it when it comes to that. I just kind of wanted to throw those two things together. All right, so I'm pretty sure that's about it for this podcast. I wanted to just get those basic things out, and maybe if somebody's struggling with something, know that they're not alone, or if they have a craving, and believe me, tacos, I'm still thinking about them, just understand that, it's not worth the risk, and, maybe just helping you guys with the different thought process that can maybe make things a little bit easier for you. And by all means, I'm not all knowing. I don't know everything, but the one thing I do have to my advantage is that I lived a pretty crappy life early on, and the military taught me a lot of stuff, and a lot of stuff happened during that time, and I feel that I've grown a lot from it. And I guess we could talk about that stuff later on and later in the podcast, but I don't really want this podcast to be all depressing and like down and like, oh man, sucks where we are kind of stuff. I don't want it to be like that. I want it to be fun, and we can joke around and have a good time and bring people on and stuff like that. But like I said, I just want to make sure I get this information to you early on because it's important, and I just want to help people in one way or another. I don't know what it is. Something's just telling me, hey, make these videos. I did get some negative feedback earlier. There's people like, talking shit or whatever. It's normal. I mean, it's normal. But it hurts more when you're literally just trying to help people the best of your ability, and then you just have somebody come in and they're like, why are you wasting your breath? You don't know what you're talking about, stuff like that. That's difficult to continue to create content like this when you know that people think that way, but understand that, people are jerks. It's just the way it is. But if I can help one person just get through the day because maybe they're having a rough time and they just need a little bit of a boost, then that's all that matters. I could care less what other people think. If they don't like it, they don't have to watch it, right? So that's about it for the podcast. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, give it a thumbs up. And that's about it, guys. I'll see you later. Peace.